All right, and we are officially live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We took off last week because Dooney and my sister, his queen, Nessa, they tied the knot. And he is kind enough to be joining us from Palm Springs today, where they are celebrating the last day of their honeymoon. So we are right back at it, as always, with this very special, important, and necessary conversation. Put the guns down. We outside. We are right back at you live, ladies and gentlemen. And today, like always, we have a very special guest to share their message, share their story, and share their insights and thoughts. And that guest today is Paula Anderson. And what's really dope, I didn't even know this until yesterday. Paula and Dooney are already connected and already know each other. So it's true. It's always a family affair when we get out in these conversations with the We Outside crew. But today's a little extra special as well. And so, with that said, as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Put the Guns Down, We Outside, where we are here to address gun violence and the underlying issue, which is mental health awareness under that. And today's special guest, Paula, has a story to share. We are very much going to be dedicating this show in her daughter's name, who was taken by this world due to gun violence 7 years and 2 days ago. We're going to very much talk about that. It's a tragedy. Paula and I had the opportunity to talk about yesterday. I could only imagine the pain, as I told her, having an 11-year-old daughter myself. The feelings that you experienced then, and probably the experiences that you feel every single day, and the feelings that come with that. So, we're very honored and privileged that you are on this conversation with us today, because your insights, the thoughts that you have, are very much welcomed. And not to downplay any of the special guests that we've had on this conversation in the past, because we're not, but I know this conversation today is going to hit differently. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to talk about saving lives. That's exactly what it's about. So, if y'all are down with that, please tell the others, share this conversation out, because it takes a village and it's got to start somewhere. So, with that said, to our special guest, Paula, again, we thank you for being here. We are privileged to be having this conversation with you today. And I'm going to hand it over to you. That way you can share your thoughts, your insights, and introduce yourself to the viewers out here today. And we'll just converse from there.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for um, just thank you for having me. So you guys can hear my story. Hear what I'm doing and stuff like that. My name's Paula Anderson. I'm the grieving mother of 3-year-old Azalea Anderson, who was um, she was taken due to community gun violence. She was shot September 11th, 2018. She suffered in the hospital from the 11th to, she was pronounced brain dead on the 15th, and we took her off life support on the 17th of September. And her birthday was exactly a month after she was pronounced brain dead. So she would have made 4 years old. So, with that being said, I do have a nonprofit organization called Azalea's Magical Unicorn Foundation, and I named it, a Unicorn Foundation because she was on unicorns at the time. Something magical. We know unicorns aren't real. You know what I mean? But they make things happen. They make people feel good. They change lives. Help kids out, get through different things and stuff like that. My daughter liked the unicorn, so my thing is unicorns. So in honor of her, I'm doing things, to help the community out. I'm in the, like I said, I'm in the prevention game, gang prevention, violence prevention, gun prevention, anything that has to do with prevention in these communities to help them out, you know, help change things, help change the narrative. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Blessings to you for being able to do that, because there's a lot of people that would not have the strength and courage that you do. And I've only known you for so long, um, but I welcome individuals like you into this world, because the strength and courage is something that people that do go through either similar things and scenarios that you talked about, even if they haven't. It's strength and courage that could be gotten from the path that you put yourself on from that tragedy. And I thank you for having that strength, and I thank you for having that courage. And we're here for it. We're here to do anything that we can. Like any family member that we welcome into the We Outside family, this is not just a one-time thing for us. So when it comes down to anything that we can assist with respect to your message, your path, and your story of what you're pushing going forward, we are here. And please let us know, in any way that we can help. With that said, Dooney, I'm sure you're very well aware of the story because you do know Paula, and this happened right in your own backyard in Sacramento. So this is not the first time that you're hearing this, but when you do hear it again, bro, what does it bring to mind for you, man?
Paula was a sister queen that I met when I came home in 2018. And when I came home, I heard the story about Azalea. And ever since I met this sister, she's been pushing the change in our community. Whether people assisted her or not, she still continued to push. That is why I was inspired and moved to push a little to get these gangs together to bridge these gaps, man. So this won't happen again, man. We won't lose another baby ever, bro, in our community because we don't have to, not in that way. But she's a big inspiration for me doing that in her story, in her resilience, in her strength. Uh, I honor her every time I see her. Um, and I always will, and we always gonna be soldiers in this fight together. Show, bro. I can't imagine. I can't imagine, bro, going through what she's going through and facing what she's facing, right? Uh, so I try to be there whenever way I can and help, in changing that my community.
And Paula, when you hear Dooney say that, the individuals that have been there to support you and support your mission going forward, can you kind of just talk to us about the insights that you have of how important that is, not just to the mission that you are on right now, in remembrance and pushing, not only the mission but the memory of your daughter, but the importance to the community that you feel comes from those connections as well.
Well, rephrase that for me. Rephrase that for me.
Yeah, yeah, no, no,
Can you say
absolutely.
that again? Yeah.
Absolutely. What insights can you share as far as having the connections to individuals in the community, such as Dooney or other individuals that you've been able to connect with to push not only the mission of what you're doing with the memory of your daughter and where this foundation and nonprofit came from, but what impact you feel that it has in your community as well, when you can make those connections across the board to push the message of being against gun violence and how we could change things going forward.
It's extremely important for people like Dooney or other people of the community. And that's one thing that I really do, push for, try to get a hold of, especially the older men of the community and, that have influence on the streets and the kids, get a hold of them, let them know what I'm doing, and of course, I always share my story of my daughter that was, taken by gang gun violence. And it's something that's huge in our community that just gets worse and worse. But it's important for the men, the people of the community, the people that are connected with other people or the other, community members to be involved and also to push it so we can change things, because I can't do it by myself. I really be in the streets. I'm really like I'm really outside. You know what I mean? I really have connections with the community. I, know I can't do it by myself, but I know I have, I need support from people. You know what I mean? I need more support. We don't, I'll say like this, with a lot of the events and stuff that I have, the people that I do work with, we don't have funding. It comes out of our own pocket. It comes from our heart. It comes from somebody giving something. We really don't ask for anything, because we've learned to do it on our own. Before my daughter was even murdered, I was outside in the community, like a community auntie, helping take care of the kids, making sure they're fed. If you live in these neighborhoods, um, not everybody's family is perfect. Families go through things, but when kids come outside to play, I pay attention to them. You know what I mean? And if they're hungry, I feed them. I lived in a neighborhood where not a lot of the kids, had a bunch of meals and stuff like that. They may be a little bit hungry, and I had quite a few children. So my biological and my step kids. So, I was always cooking, I was always feeding the kids. We were always doing something, fun, to give them something different to do besides just hang out and kick it. Because when kids hang out and kick it, that's when things happen. And, or, they start falling off track of what they should be doing, playing like kids. Now they want to, nowadays it's cool as hell to have a gun. And now in these neighborhoods there's always gangs, you know what I mean? So now it's cool to be with these other guys that aren't doing anything, maybe messing up the neighborhood, instead of let's get together and let's color on the street, or sidewalk chalk, normal things kids do. So I've always been like, that neighborhood auntie, to feed the kids, take care of the kids and stuff like that. So it's important for us, community members, to be able to be involved in a part of it.
Dooney, what additional thoughts would you like to add to that? Because I think you very much hit the nail on the head there, Paula. And Dooney, I asked you specific not only because of the active approach that you take with your past experiences and what you do now in the present with respect to being a figure, and I'm going to call you a straight up patriarchal figure, right? Because both you know different than Paula just mentioned, being the auntie of the neighborhood, even though you may not be caring for or looking out for, someone that's directly your blood related, family. We as elders, we are patriarchs, we are matriarchs. And it reminds me of the conversation that we had with Chili Chill about a month and a half back, Paula, from what you said there, that there's a lack of accountability, I feel, in the communities these days, and I don't care what community it is, where it used to be okay for that auntie or just even that neighbor, right, just to give a yell or a holler to somebody that is,
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing something that, or doing something that they shouldn't be doing, right?
Checking
And that,
somebody's kid.
yes, yo, like straight up, like I would come home sometimes and tell my mom or my dad, yo, so and so did this or this to me. The first reply or question always was out of their mouth, well, what did you do? Because that's what it was
Yeah.
back then, right? And I think that's something that we're lacking today. But with that said, Dooney, I bring it back to you. Being a patriarch in your community, anything that you want to add to what either I just said with respect to accountability, or what Paula was talking about with respect to kind of like that anti approach and role that she plays.
That sense of community has been lost, man. Where it takes a family to raise a village, it's like we don't have a village. We just have people existing in the same area. We don't know each other, and we ain't trying to know each other. We're not trying to bridge those gaps, man, and have those conversations that make our community better. Uh, and that's hard. It's hard because it's like going up against a brick wall. We trying to run up and bust down a brick wall, right, to get these lines of communication open to save the lives of our children. And it's hard because a lot of the parents are the problem. So you can't, nowadays you can't go and say something to someone's parent, because no matter whether the child's right or wrong, the parent is going to flash, right? It's going to take it personal
Yep.
instead of taking that information and ciphering it as a parent should and dealing with it accordingly. It's automatic. Don't be saying shit to my motherfucking kid, and the child knows that, so the child is not listening to adults either. out. You know what I mean? Not listening to the parents and not any other parent, because the parent letting them, you know, feel that it's okay not to listen or respect adults. It's sad, but you know, hopefully certain of us, like Paula and myself and different people in our community, despite that, those children still know who to respect, right? It's just sad that it's not on a broader level, right? Because it's really hindering our community from growing.
No,
Truly is. But
I agree. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead, dude.
no, I was done. But yeah,
Paula, there was one thing with what Dooney said there, and I'm definitely curious to get both of your thoughts. So, Dooney, I'm going to let Paula speak to this first, and then I'm going to come back to you to get your direct insights to this. Because Paula, you and I were speaking briefly yesterday, and you had mentioned to me that you noticed that you, from your vantage point, have kind of noticed that that the elders these days, the former bangers, the former individuals who have gone and served some time in the monastery, as our brother Dooney puts it, that being prison, for anybody that's not followed along from the past, is what that means when Dooney says the word monastery. There's a disconnect. There's not only a disconnect, but almost an outright, like, fear or lack of accountability, whatever word you want to give it, from
Yeah.
those individuals at Dooney's age. I mean, I'm 44. Dooney's got just a few years on me, but I'm not too far behind. But we get to this age, and there's that fear, that there's this disconnect, there's a lack of accountability, because that's what we're kind of on right now, right? Um, do you have any thoughts from what you've experienced to get those feelings, why you feel that way, or why you feel that may be?
These older gentlemen in the community, older men in the community, they're scared of these young boys, these YNs. They're out here. If they say something wrong to them, these younger men will shoot the older ones. Everybody carries a gun. So I think it's the fear. It be fear of the younger, fear of the youth, afraid of our kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what I feel it is. And me as a mom, I can't be afraid, of these kids, whether they have a gun or not. Like, seriously. But a lot of these men, and they choose just to step back. Well, it ain't it's not my fight no more. I've done made it this long. I'm 40 years old now. Why am I gonna say something to these younger kids, and this kid could take my life? A lot of men are scared, and I'll put it like that. Scared. It is what it is. And so that's what I feel. Scared. You've lived a long time. Why say something to them now? They ain't gonna listen to you. My thing is planting the seed. Whether they hear it now, they may hear it a little later. But a lot of men don't. What I feel, what I see, I'm really out here. You know what I mean? I've seen it. Nobody wants to say anything anymore. There's not those men. I'm not speaking on everybody, but I'm speaking on some. There's not those men that are willing to step up. You guys tore things down. These kids are looking up to you. These young boys looked up to you. That's why they act the way that they act. Now that they're off the chain, out of control, they'll check you. You ain't trying to do nothing. You guys got that. Go ahead. But when the man that started this shit say they got that, then it becomes okay. Now I'm a mom of a dead 3-year-old little girl because somebody didn't want to say something to that young kid, that boy that has the gun, and you guys know he out there wilding and stuff like that. Nobody wants to say anything. But that's why I'm on my mission. If they won't, I will. You know, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. A lot of those men have choices. To me, I feel I don't have a choice. Something was taken from me, and I want to make sure that no other mother or no other family, because it's not just me. My kids go through it daily. I have other kids, and that's why I am the way I am, because I don't have well, I have a choice, but how I tell myself I don't have a choice. I can't just lay down and give up. I have 3 other children. You know what I mean? And they're looking to me. And I don't need my sons out there the way these other kids are, from being angry because their 3-year-old sister was killed. So I don't have that choice. So that's why I get up and push the way that I push.
Man, Dooney, what I got two questions for you. I'll ask you the second follow up question after I get your thoughts on what Paula was just speaking on, as far as individuals at our age group, of those elders that have been through some shit, but now are just kind of laying back in the cut, just like watching shit happen because of fear or lack of accountability or whatever the reasons individuals are choosing, because you are not one that chooses to do that. You are doing, in fact, the complete opposite of that. So, what are your thoughts on individuals at our stage of life who are just watching this shit just happen?
It's heartbreaking to me, bro, because the community that I came home to wasn't the community I left, bro. And what we were standing for before, we don't stand for now. That's why the kids are doing what they're doing. We used to protect the community. We were vanguards of the community. You didn't mess with nothing in our apartment complex at all, bro. We didn't care whether what race it was or nothing, bro. And we just got away from that, man. And now, like these kids, they learned it from somewhere. The things that they're doing, they were taught to do it, or they wouldn't be doing it. They learned it from somewhere. And now that they took it and made it their own, men, and it's shocking and astonishing to me because I'm like, they're your kids. These are your kids that y'all are afraid of. But the reason that is because there was a disconnect between the father and the son, right? And our community. You're not in. My father was never in my life. There was not a motherfucking thing that my father can come tell me or say anything to me because it wasn't good. He wasn't in my life. So now what we're suffering in our community is the same thing. Absent fathers, right, don't have that respect from their child or respect from the youth because of how they moving. Um, and I never have a problem approaching any kid because it's your energy.
Yep.
Kids go off your energy, and a lot of them old energy is fucked up.
Yep.
You can't walk up to that child and speak to him any kind of way. You can't do that. And I never approached near young man that way, never got a negative response from any young man in any situation because I remember that I was him. And I speak to him the way I would want to be spoken to when I was a child. That's the difference. I don't have that fear because I don't have that in my heart, right? I have no ill will in my heart or no ill will intentions in my heart. And when I approach a young man, they feel that.
I appreciate it. And the follow-up question that I got for you real quick is to the individuals that we're just speaking on, the individuals that Paula had mentioned that she's been experiencing in her experiences, to those elder individuals, what's your message to those people who just kind of lay back in the cut and don't do anything about it? Because that's got to count for something, right? And not necessarily in a good way. So I'd be curious, with what you walk in the path that you walk every single fucking day, bro, what would be your message to those individuals? Because you're not afraid.
My thing is, let's get off the bullshit, man. Let's get off the bullshit. Um, let's stand up and represent the way we should represent as men, right? We started this shit. We started all this stuff that they following, bro. So it's on us to clean it up. And we have an event, and many events is being put on to bring different, like, brother One Gone got an event coming on the 27th, right? And I'm gonna call out every neighborhood, the G's, to pull up because the kids is saying, how do you want us to come together
Yeah.
and not have a war with our enemies? We don't see you old dudes coming together, and that's fact. You're asking them to do something that y'all not doing. And you should never ask the child to do something that you won't damn well do yourself. So there's an event coming, bro, and I'm trying to get everybody there. I know there's a lot of us, bro. It's just that we need to get in that common space, bro. It's a lot of people that feel the way we feel, bro. It just takes certain people to bring them brothers out,
Yep.
and it's
Yeah.
happening.
No, you're right. And I think, even if it starts with one of them, the one leads to two, the two leads to three, it's got to be a mission no different than you were talking about earlier, Paula, when you said, listen, at the end of the day, I do have choices. My choices are I could sit here and fold and day in and day out, just be like, woe is me. Or you have the other choice to toe that line of not only pushing the memory of your daughter Azalea, but doing what you can within your power and your energy so that another mother does not have to go through that same experience as well, right? Because you and I talked about it yesterday also that, right now today as it stands, depending what the numbers are, 685 individuals are taken from us worldwide due to gun violence. And that's from violence. That doesn't even include people due to mental health taking their own lives due to suicide and unaliving themselves. So that number is actually larger than 685. But even from this one conversation, if we can help save 2 lives today, that's a win. We're not going to save all 685 today. And I think that's something that a lot of people get lost in, right? Everybody, and I used to be one of those people where I just want to throw my arms around the whole world and save fucking everything. I know I can't go out and save 685 lives today. And like you were saying earlier, Paula, this conversation might just be planting the seed to save a life down the road, right? And if we can do that from this conversation, that's a win, right? If we can get somebody on board to want to have this conversation on a different type of platform, or the right person see this to be like, man, more people need to be hearing this shit. That's where I am today, because we can't save all 685 today, but we're here having a conversation because it's important, it's necessary, and I strongly feel that having this conversation is going to save somebody today, or at least the right person's going to see it to share this message with somebody else. What are your thoughts on that, Paula, specific to knowing that you, me, and Dooney, even together, we might not be able to save 685 lives that are going to be taken from us and the world today, but we can plant that seed? What do you feel in the strength from that message?
My thing is planting seeds, because I know as long as I can plant seeds, I know how to water them and, make them grow, in the correct direction, and that's my big thing is because, yeah, a lot of people don't hear it right away. But if you start hearing the message and the putting the guns down and, how it destroys life, how it creates mental health, I just want to plant the seed, because eventually the way this world's going, that seed's going to grow from you seeing something wrong or bad happen, or you hear about another little girl being killed, or somebody's grandmother being hit by a bullet, or things like that. That's what I want to do, is plant the seeds, because this is what we need to do now. A lot of times, get the kids when they're younger, from elementary school age, because this is when it really starts. It even starts before school, before kids get into school. So we have to plant the seed now. So when the kids hear the bad things, they're veering away from them. They don't want to do that. They don't want to pick up a gun because they don't want to, get angry and use the gun. And, how kids think, don't want to use a gun on somebody else and make somebody else's mom sad, or things like that. Planting the seed. That's another reason, like, we did a parents bereavement month event at William Land Park. And my thing, when I have these events, they're love events, because that's what we really need in this community to start really making things happen, is love again. And my thing is, to bring, and this is what I contacted, gentlemen from Sacramento. I'm not going to say anybody's name, that I know that do have and deal with the youth that are bad, that are wilding out here. So what I do is I contact them. Hey, I'm having me and a couple other mothers are having this event, and it's a healing circle, but it's an event where it's a lot of grief. It's a lot of moms crying. It's people, some moms just can't even hold it together. I was there where I'm crying constantly, and we're going around telling the story of our loved ones and how they go on, and those plant seeds in these kids. Let these kids see, after that bullet leaves that gun, these are the decisions that happen from somebody, you know what I mean, after they shot that gun. And I know, especially boys, they don't like to see their moms cry. They don't like to see women cry, and these are raw emotions. And so I reached out to these, certain gentlemen, and was like, bring them, let these kids see our grief. Let's plant the seed like that, because I think that's a way to do it is real live, raw and uncut emotions. Planting that seed because eventually somebody's going to see something that's going to make sense. Like that's right. I remember, at that event that Paula invited us to, there was these moms and they were crying and, we be super emotional, especially when we all get together, and we start reliving what happened or our kids or we're still going through things with trial and things like that. So I like to my thing. I like to plant seeds. My mission is to save lives, but along the way, and before I even save anybody, let me plant a bunch of seeds.
No, I agree because, talking about realness in a world of fake these days, especially with social media the
Yeah.
way it is and out of control, it's so different from what it actually was meant to be when it first started, right? Everything evolves, right? But going back to choices, going back to accountability, going back to community, there's and I think it's a debatable conversation, right? Because on one hand, we can very much talk in the sense that it starts at home, right? With the respective parents or parent in some cases, and the community and that accountability is always the backup plan. But it's tough when the world as a whole puts puts us collectively as parents. So I think about it from this perspective, right? Childcare. Like people sometimes, a lot of individuals are put in a scenario of, okay, well, do I pay the 15, 1600, $2,000 a month for childcare and go work 50, 60 hours a week just to afford that? Or do I just kind of make do and raise my kid ultimately on my own, in the sense of not sending them to like a daycare type of scenario, specifically like before school, right? Eventually, in most cases, everybody, most kids are going to be going to school. But it's tough because society puts us in a very tough spot as parents in some instances as well. And then you add the outlet where a lot of parents, even when they are home with their children, the babysitter becomes social media or the tablet or the
Yep.
phone
Yep.
or the TV. And
Yep.
let's be real, people. If it's called programming for a reason. I don't know how else to say it. It's that black and white to me, anyways. I mean, some people use it to get lost in like their day to day, but some people see this shit and it's to the wrong ones with the wrong mental well-being, or not the right seeds being planted in them, or the right parenting around them, the right community and
Mm.
accountability behind them. Like Dooney, you were talking about earlier, they learn it from somewhere, right? They learn it from somewhere. I was talking to my brother LaBent. Shout out to my brother LaBent out in LA yesterday. And he's got a brother. He's a YN. He's got 100 grand sitting in his mouth, and then he's got, no lie, 300 guns. What the? Listen, again, disclaimer, people. Here at Put the Guns Down, we are not against guns, okay? We are against gun violence. There's a distinct difference between
Difference.
the
Yeah.
two, okay? But who the fuck needs one person? Who needs 300 guns, and what are you going to do with 300 guns? Like, if some shit's going down, you going to hold all 300 guns? And go do, like, come on, man. Like, so I'm curious to what your thoughts are, Paula, and then Dooney, your thoughts on this as well. Where do you feel that the programming, from every avenue that it's coming across to us in this world, in a news cycle that never stops, what role do you feel that programming, whether it's on social media, which 99% of what y'all are seeing on social media is fake, that's a fact, or the
Mm.
TV, or the games that we see these days? I'm gonna let you
Mm.
speak on that first, Paula, and then Dooney. I definitely want to get your thoughts on that as well with respect to
Oh,
programming.
all that it's and it comes back to you're not with your kids all the time, but you can instill in your kids like, okay, like my kids, I know I didn't allow them to, when they were younger, play all those shooting games. I'm not a big fan of My kids being inside watching TV or playing video games and all that, could call any of my kids right now. We didn't do all that. My kids went outside and played. They still made up games and some more stuff on Della Circle, where my daughter was killed. So, but yeah, it's all on what they watch, what they see, the ads. What's cool. It's cool to have a gun now. These kids are programmed. It's cool because everything that they watch, or we allow our kids to watch, then when they're out of our control, of course they can't watch it. But there's only so many kids. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of all the social media, or the TV, and these kids living this fake life. Um, but yeah, it has a huge role to do with everything. The video games, what's on you go on YouTube and look up anything to do with guns, and it's just like, it's so cool, it's fascinating. These kids, we're not making it like, nah, that's not okay, you don't need no gun, okay, for protection or whatever, but guns are used, man. I was taught, I grew up in a house where we did have guns. My dad was in the military. So, but we knew not to touch them. We didn't play with them. We didn't really talk about them. My dad told us the only time we needed to pick up a gun is if we were going hunting to bring home dinner for the night. And since we lived in the city, we didn't have to do any of that. So we weren't supposed to pick up guns. But that's what was programmed into us from a child. You know what I mean? And people don't do that with their kids. It's that's a hard situation. That's where it leaves us out here dealing with these kids in a different way, or trying to show them something different because they have been programmed. And there's not a lot of parents that know what to do to stop their kids, or really know what their kids are doing.
True story. Dooney, I definitely
Yeah.
want to get your thoughts on that. But first, I want to ask you this direct question, Dooney. In your past, could you have ever fathomed having 300 guns? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, uh, why? Like, why?
Obsession, bro. Obsession,
Mental
or
health.
we're becoming obsessed with what we're seeing in the media. And they not understanding that that short-term gain, you know, for harming someone, it goes away in a matter of like a day or two. When you get arrested after shooting somebody, that's the end of your that's the end of your hype, bro. Everything else is pain from there. They want that instant gratification, bro. Right? And that's like taking a life. They want that instant gratification. Media is giving them that instant gratification. Everything is instant right now. They want everything right now. Even prison right now, death right now. And they gave them a weapon, a gun to do it right now. Right? Take these guns out of our community. These kids ain't fighting like that. These kids ain't getting down like that. The only reason they doing what they doing is because they don't have to make contact with nobody, bro. They got a gun. They don't have to walk up on nobody. They can shoot from across the street. And I would have 100 bullets to make sure that I possibly get here and get everything else right in the wake of it as well. Right? I mean, it's senseless, bro. Should we have bear arms? Yeah, I think we should bear arms, bro. But I don't think it should be against our own people. I think it should be to protect our family and our homes when something else that's bound to happen happens. And it's not. We was taught by the media. We was taught by everything, social media, the internet, the TV, songs, everything, music, everything. We're taught to hate each other and to kill each other, bro. We don't own none of them distribution companies or any of them radio stations or any of them TV stations, bro. We're being brainwashed, bro. Our children are brainwashed. The parents are brainwashed because they allow them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all by design, bro.
You know what? You're so right there, and I think a lot of people aren't really aware of that. I was watching the documentary the last couple nights, where ultimately, um, there are basically 41 countries, or excuse me, 41 entities within the whole world that basically rule everything. like with
Yeah.
respect to like
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
subsidiaries and other business offshoots that come. Think about that. 41 companies running basically the entire world, with
Well,
basically the
thanks.
top 20 banks being the top. So like people like the only thing that I can take away from that, with my thoughts, and I'm speaking for myself, is if you've got 41 companies, okay, ruling 8.2 billion people in the entire world, because I'm talking about the entire world here right now, to what Dooney you just said, how can we not understand it if you're whatever word people want to use, woke, aware, cognizant, just in the know of what the fuck is going on? If you educate yourself and not let yourself be educated by the fakeness that is going on in this world with respect to the programming and the designed system that we're living in, how do people, and I'm not going to lie, I've been victim to this in the past before I started educating myself and doing some more research. Like, how do we as people allow ourselves to be controlled by this shit? I'm curious on anybody's insights, not only yours, Paula, not only yours, Dooney, anybody watching right now, whether you're tapping in live or you're seeing this after the fact. I'm genuinely curious. If we have 41 companies in the whole world running this shit, what are you telling yourself to or what are you telling the other person who's allowing themselves to be controlled by this? What are some insights that you have, Paula? We're gonna go to you first. Any thoughts that you have on that, or insights that you could share with other people when
Man,
you hear the black and white things like that?
yeah, my thing with this, like, the programming and all this, and letting these people control your mind to where you don't know what's right or what's wrong, because you haven't, like you said, haven't educated yourself on what's really going on in the world. My thing is, I don't watch TV like that unless
Hmm.
I'm catching some news. Occasionally I'll catch some news. I make sure I stay up on my world news and stuff like that, so I know what's going on in the world around me. But I just stay, so I can't be programmed like that, because it's very easy to sit down and be programmed where you're not really doing anything. You're not, you're listening to what, others are saying, or what they're saying the truth is. I don't watch TV. I step outside. I go, into my community and stuff like that. I don't deal with it, but I'm a different kind of person. If you know me, I don't watch TV like that. Do the, I don't do all the extra, I'll say it. Long story short, I don't do all the extra. And that's how I advise people not to do something different besides, sitting down or scrolling through your phone for nothing. If you're scrolling through your phone, let it be for something that's worth something. You know what I mean? Not educate yourself on something. Get outside, do something different. That's my thing.
I,
I go outside. I get in the
I
community, so
and you have to control what you can. You have to
yeah.
educate yourself, like you and I were both saying, because it, it, there is in the United States water population, 2/3 of the population's water has fluoride in it. All right. So people, if you're not familiar with what that means, let's go back. Let's go back to another crazy period of time, World War II, when the Nazis did what the Nazis were doing. Guess what they put into the water in their concentration camps? Sodium fluoride. Why? Because sodium fluoride over time is going to start to calcify the brain. So, what happens if the brain becomes calcified and you're not exercising the muscle that is? Eventually, you're almost going to basically be catatonic. You're not going to be able to think for yourself,
Self,
which
yeah.
means people and the powers that be, whether it's these 41 companies or whoever's ultimately pulling the strings of the programming within this world, if they calcify your brain enough over time and get you to a point of where you cannot think, well, guess what? It becomes that much easier to control one person, 10 people, a community of people, eventually a state, a country, the world. Uh, Dooney, what are your thoughts? I know you popped off there real quick, but obviously we're talking about the programming, and as you were coming in there, I was sharing an example of how 2/3 of the U.S. waters, the 2/3 of the U.S. population's water has fluoride in it, and that fluoride is the same thing that the Nazis used in Nazi Germany, and specifically in concentration camps during that period of time, so they can calcify the brains of those in the concentration camp. So it made it that much easier for them to control. So staying kind of on the topic of being programmed here, and those things that I shared, what are your thoughts when you hear shit like that? And your
Shit, we got
insights
the
to
same.
people.
We got
Go
the
ahead.
same thing with Sacramento water
Yep.
in 2025. The same thing with Sacramento water, bro. But it's all by design, bro. When we talk about planting seeds, there was people that did studies on us and on people about
Yep.
planting seeds. That's what's happening with media. They're planting the seeds that they want to plant. The media that we see, the TikTok and everything that we see out here, Japan don't see. You know what I mean? They learned about algorithms and all that, right? And how that works. Well, children in Japan and China and all that, their pages is about nothing but positivity. You can't find anything negative on their TikToks, bro. They're not allowing that in their countries, bro. Your kids are not doing what our kids are doing. We understand, man, 10 days of anything, 10 days of anything becomes concrete in a person. So if you do something for 10 days, it becomes automatic habit. Automatic, bro. And our kids are sitting in front of these computers for 4 to 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day, bro. They're literally programmed by someone else, bro. Because the parent is not being there, being present, and making sure that they take in, filter what they're taking in, and give them an understanding of true accounts of true life with that. They're allowing it to be their babysitter. We're losing our kids, bro. They're being raised by the media, bro. It's sad, bro.
It is
But we
sad.
gotta get. When I grew up, bro, there was not an open sports field school without a soccer, baseball, basketball, football. Man, our schools and our programs are non-existent, bro. All of the baseball diamonds we used to play at is still everything that we used to have, bro, is gone, bro. I don't see soccer in South Sacramento at all. It's hard to find baseball in South Sacramento at all. We had every single part that because it made it easy and accessible for the parents to get the child there or for the child to get there because it was accessible. Now these sports and events is not accessible. That was, and
No.
then when they did that, they also took all the trades out of school. The things that made us want to go to school, wood shop, metal shop, right? Home economics, the classes that we excelled in, the thing that made us entrepreneurs, they took them out of school. At the same time, they took the sports. In the mid 80s, bro, they started taking everything, bro. So now what have our kids left with? They left them with the media. They knew it's all by design, bro. We talk about planting seeds again, right? If you don't plant something, something will definitely grow. 9 times out of 10, it won't be nothing good.
I agree, because if
So
you're not
we
planting those trees, then weeds are
so
getting
those seeds
planted
that we plant
by
are
those powers
positive
that be.
seeds. Yeah, the seeds that we plant are positive seeds. But the seeds that they're being planted in our children now are negative seeds and nothing that will help them grow and sustain and be healthy individuals, bro.
No, I agree, and I think to individuals such as Paula, with the nonprofit that she's running and pushing forward, I think we need more of that. We need more seeds being planted like that. So, I'm going to come back and ask you now, Paula, a similar type of question that I asked Dooney. With what you've got going on with respect to your nonprofit, to the others out there that have started nonprofits similar to yours or similar in nature that just brings positivity to the world, to specifically what our young kings and queens need, with things being taken away from us and weeds being planted by the media and the powers that be, specific to the things that we can control and individuals such as yourself are putting into this world. What would your message be to individuals who have found a struggle or a challenge or maybe complacency in something that they have started, or even people who have thought about starting something but maybe have not taken that next step yet to act on it?
Because you know what? Seriously, it's not easy. It's not easy trying to find somebody to help. It's a lot of this. People don't want to show you, like, basically how to get on, how to, there's paperwork you got to fill out. There's certain things you got to do. You got to fill out the paperwork correctly. And, there's not a lot of people out there in our communities that do have nonprofits that really help. My thing, and still, I have somebody that did help me, but still it's still a challenge. My thing is just keep on going. Eventually my thing is I eventually figured it out. you know um, we do need a lot more of these nonprofits. If you don't want to do your own, hop on with somebody else, help us make it easier, because, a lot of times it'd be a few of us moms, and the more support, the better. Come around some of us moms that do have nonprofits, or that do, because there's some moms that don't have nonprofits, but do have events, where we get together as moms. We have, I'd be like, we have love days and healing circles. Us moms that have lost, moms and dads, because it's not just mothers, there's fathers that have lost their children too. But we get together, we share our stories, um, tell each other different things. A lot of times we talk business, about our nonprofits. How do we get this? How can we get funding? Because there is funding out there, but you just have to know somebody that has the funding or that can help you with something. But keep on pushing, get around us moms that do have nonprofits, so you can see the idea, or ask questions. And a lot of times, like me, I'll help people out. I'll guide them to somebody that I know for sure knows how to do it. If I don't know how to do it, I promise you I can make a phone call, and find somebody to help me. If that person can't, they're gonna find somebody that can help you. But we make sure that we all get on. You know what I mean? And it's really us moms that are really out here in the communities, really out here, not for personal gain, because there are the people that are really out here for personal gain. Not out here. Yeah, there's a lot of them. A lot of
Mm,
people know who I'm talking about. But we're the ones that ain't out here, the ones that really, it's the ones that are confused on how to do the paperwork, that are the ones that are really out here, you know, um, pushing this work, pushing for peace, pushing for love, pushing for calmness in our neighborhoods. So I just, man, just keep on pushing. Anybody can contact me. I could direct them to somebody that probably could help, but just continue on, research yourself. A lot, there's not too many people out here that will really genuinely help you and get you a nonprofit, because people are like, well, if they get that, maybe I won't get the money, or maybe they'll get a grant I don't get. I'm not like that. And the people that I'm around, we ain't like that. If I know something that you can, we could get something on, or something to help us, or an event we can go to spread our message, I'm giving them it freely. I'm not going to hold it for myself, And but yeah, just keep on pushing, man. For sure, we need more people. Get up under us, people that do have events. Call us, contact us. And I know, and there's quite a few of my sisters that are with me. That, and I say sisters, we've lost children together, and or we've all have that in common, as we've lost our children. But we're people that, we will help you. We will try to figure it out, push you in the right direction, tell you somebody to call, to help you get a nonprofit, to help you with the paper, because all it is a lot of times the paperwork. It's the
hmm
paperwork, and then finances.
I agree with you there, especially the part that you had said about people wanting to do it for their own financial gain or social media exposure.
Yep.
They're not doing it for the pureness of it, the
No.
goodness that comes with. I think a lot of people, I think a lot of the problem is a lot of people forget that we're still all human beings. But, a
Yep.
lot of the things that we've talked about already today with the fakeness, with the media, the programming, there's not pure intent anymore, right? And
No.
I'm somebody that lives by pure intent as best I could, right? And I'm, and I'm blessed enough to have people like Dooney in my life because I keep people around me like Dooney. If I'm going sideways a little bit, Dooney's gonna tell me I'm going sideways, and he's gonna explain why, and I'm gonna listen, right?
Yeah.
Those are the type of people that you need in your life, right? And
Absolutely.
numbers tell the story always, right? So I want to share numbers with you, and then I'm going to share one number with you guys that a lot of people, when they hear this last number that I'm going to share, they always think different things, but I'm going to give my interpretation of that number. So here are the first three numbers. Out of 100% of the 8.2 billion people that live in this world, 85% are followers. That's a big problem right there, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
85% of the 8.2 billion people in this world are followers. There's only 10% that are leaders. And again, they could be good or bad leaders, no different than Dooney was saying earlier. If you're not planting something in a positive way, well, somebody's going to be planting something in a negative way, right? So what type of leader are you? And then 5% are observers. Those observers are somewhere going to, they're either going to end up falling into that 85% of the followers of this world or the 10% of the leaders of this world, right? But then I want to talk about the one percenters, right? Because when a lot of people hear that term one percenters, they typically, at least again, in my experience, when I hear the term 1% in the past, I think of two groups of people in the past. I think of the 1% of the quote unquote rich people who ultimately rule the world, right? Or I always thought about, the one percenters in these motorcycle gangs, right? But these days, in the transformation, I've put myself on in the last 5 to 10 years or so, when I think of 1%, I think of the one percenters as being people who are pure. And that's what really made me think that, Paula, when you were talking about, some people aren't really out here to help or do it for certain reasons unless there's something in it for them as an individual, which that's really sad. That's really sad to think that somebody's got to either get some kind of exposure or even worse, they got to catch a bag for doing something good
Yep.
instead of for just the outright, you're a fucking human being. And we're out here talking about trying to help other human beings or save the future kings and queens from going from the same shit that the past individuals have gone through. So that's my new mantra when it comes to a 1%. Because I truly am under the belief these days that there's only 1% of people out here that are pure with their intentions, meaning that they don't want something out of it. And, to what you were talking about, that's really what brought me to that thought, right? Because let's come together. There is the strength in numbers. I live by a saying, I'm not one of the most smartest people in the world, but I'm one of the most intelligent because I know how to utilize the resources that are around me. And that's very much
Mhm.
what you said in that statement before I went off on my soliloquy here, because it's true. If you can find the right people with the right intent, then you can build the network that can plant the right seeds that, yeah, you might not see it. You might not see the shade from the tree from those seeds that you're planting. But if you're building that tree for the future young kings and queens, that's what it's meant to be about, right? You might not get anything out of it, but that's not the intent behind it. And I have grace to a certain extent for the people who are doing it for not pure reasoning, right? But only so much when it comes down to it. And I feel for those people because somewhere along the way, the programming got to them, where today it's the social media that
Yep.
got to them. And we have to do a better job. We have to do a better job. So what insights do you have with respect to, in addition to what you've already spoken about, where do you think we could start as a whole? Like in a perfect world, if you could just make them, twirl a magic wand and make something happen, where would you start if you're rubbing that proverbial genie lamp and a genie's even going to give you one, maybe two wishes? What do you think that we could be doing differently as a human race to change the narrative of where we are at today and how we move forward in a positive direction?
All of us just being able to drop the BS, the bullshit, just anything extra, just dropping it. Because a lot of times that's what it is. It's just a bunch of BS in the middle of things to make bigger things happen. The hate. I would completely be gone with hate. Love is what's going to get us back together. Love is what's going to um help us get through this stuff. You know what I mean? As far as putting our communities back together, putting things in place, because we just got to put things back on the shelf. And shoot, I would just want to be gone with the BS, because a lot of it's BS. People with wrong intentions. So away with the hate.
And say that again. Dooney, same thoughts, bro. When it comes to people out here doing good, first and foremost for either the bag or the exposure with not pure intentions. Let's start there, and then I'll ask that second part of what we were just talking about with Paula. What are your thoughts on those type of individuals?
Bro, it's like the Hunger Games, bro. Um, Everybody out for themselves, bro. It's about the
Yeah.
money, bro.
Yeah.
It's another hustle. And our
Yeah.
kids' lives are
Yeah.
expense for the hustle, bro. A lot of them funds that's going to individuals to buy their houses, to buy cars, is supposed to be going to them children to prevent violence, bro. To prevention, bro. To stopping us from losing our children, bro. But unfortunately, in Sacramento and a lot of other places, bro, the wrong people are getting the bag.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And they're not trying to share the bag, bro. They're not really trying to do the work, because if they was doing the work, they would be with the people that's really in the street doing the work.
Yep.
They not really from the street. They don't have credibility in the street.
That part.
All they
That
have
part.
credibility with is those in Sacramento, the police
Yeah.
department, and the DA's department. That's who they
Yep.
got credibility with, and they're believing them because they really don't want to change our community
Yep.
anyway. They want to say that
Yeah.
they're doing something by giving funding to those individuals that's not doing shit in
So,
our community with that funding. Straight up,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah. That's a
And as
thousand
far as
percent it.
it's a part, and as far as support, I have my own nonprofit, bro. But my nonprofit is different than other nonprofits. Mine is called Youth Against Violence Alliance. That means I will align with anybody that's doing the work in the community. I don't have to put my organization out there. I'll show up, bro.
Yep.
Long as the work is being done, you don't have to have a nonprofit to do it. We don't need 1,000 nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
We can have
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them, bro,
Yeah.
and change our community, bro. It's just a
Yeah.
hustle. Everybody want their own nonprofit because people that got the major
Got
nonprofits that's getting the major funding is not doing what they should be doing in our community, bro.
It's it's sad but true
Yeah.
because a lot of people are using the nonprofit for nothing more than the exposure
Yep.
or or the tax.
Yep.
And Dooney, we know one specifically here in my neighborhood who's doing exactly that. We're gonna say that for another
Yes, sir.
conversation another
And
day.
I know
But
of at least 5 of them out here that's doing the same thing,
Yep.
bro.
Yep. Yep.
At
Yep.
least 5 of them. And
and you
that's
know
all it
what?
takes to
The
take
Yep.
millions away from our
Yep.
community is just 5 people.
Yep.
And that's exactly where I was going with that. Because, yes, at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that karma, God, the higher power, the energy, it's going to catch up with them. And the universe is going to give them theirs, right? I have no doubt in that because I have that faith and that belief. But at the same time, what really irks me when it comes to those individuals, because they're going to be handled the way that they need to be handled. But what really pisses me off, bro, is exactly what you said, and you were alluding to it earlier as well, Paula. The fact that they are blocking the blessings of those who the nonprofits are ultimately meant to serve. Because Dooney, I know you well enough. Paula, in the short time that I've known you, from the brief conversation that we had yesterday, just you and I on the phone, and then getting to have this conversation with you today as well, I know you both to be pure of intent. And you are truly doing it because you want to, and you are helping your communities. And it's about showing up. And, Dooney, with what you do with your gardening, you don't just plant a seed on the top surface and water it. You got to dig and plant that shit accordingly, the proper 3 to 6 inches below, the 6 to 8 inches below, depending on what you're planting, right? And that's not easy. And what's crazy is people don't want to do the hard
We
work
do the
out
same thing
here.
with the people. I plant the seed according to the person.
Yeah.
Some of them might not need 2 inches. Some of them is only a quarter inch deep. That seed needs to be planted a quarter inch deep. Some need to be planted 2 inches deep, bro. It's just all about connecting from the heart with those children,
Yes.
bro.
Yes.
When you deal with people from the heart, then you understand the gauge of the depth of their pain or the assistance that they need. But like Paula said, we got to get back to love, man. Right now, what I'm doing as far as murders in my community, bro, I'm trying to get these kids together and have a conversation about what healing looks like. Because until they
Yes.
heal, they're going to continue to hurt people.
Yes.
And we got to teach
Yeah.
them how to heal, bro. They don't know how, and their parents don't know how, and the
Yeah.
community don't know how. So they can continue to hurt people, bro, until we step up and say, bro, we hurt too. I lost people too, but I had to come to a point where I had to forgive. And this is what forgiveness looked like, right? We have to sit down with those that it's only a few individuals that don't want to let it go because they can't let go of the hurt of losing their loved one. We got to show them how to heal, bro.
Yeah.
Until then, they're going to continue to hurt and continue to hurt other people. That's where that love comes in. Paula talking about love them enough to sit down to help them heal, because healing is a process. And if you ain't been through it, goddamn it, you can't help nobody.
That part. That
Mm,
part.
That's where that money comes in.
Yeah.
People are getting paid to do shit in our community. They don't have the skills or ability to accomplish,
At
bro.
all.
So
Yeah.
they're doing
Yeah.
fucking fluff work, bro.
Yeah.
it's just surface work.
Yes, sir. But it looks good
That's
if
all it
you take a
is.
picture. You take a picture
Yeah.
and take it
Yep.
down there. That's how they get their
Yeah.
funding. They take
Yep.
pictures.
Yep.
Ah,
Yeah.
look, look.
Yeah.
That kid go to Folsom High. He ain't from Burbank. He ain't from Johnson. He ain't from none of them from them
Yep.
schools in our
Yeah.
community
Yeah.
where they really having a problem at,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
They over there playing, bro. Going to them
Yep.
well-to-do communities where them kids
Yes.
is not having what the hell you gonna have a gun violence for with a kid at a campus where a kid has never brought a gun on or never have a violence on campus ever, bro.
Yeah.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
But that's what we
Yeah.
suffer, and that's what Paula.
Yeah.
I know she's been going up against this
Yeah.
as long as I have. But one thing, like say, God will take care of them. Paula, God gonna take care of us too.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. We're gonna stay doing the work, and we're gonna stay changing our community, and God gonna stay blessing us, Queen, with
Absolutely.
giving us the strength to get up every morning to go do it. I give you props. You know what I mean? For being a woman that you are, and doing what you're doing, because it takes a lot, and a lot of people can't do it. You are that 10%, and you are a part of that 1%.
So true. So true. And I think what you said there, Dooney, and coupled with Paula, what you were talking about earlier, having the prayer circles, having the healing circles. I think it's important, what you said there, Dooney, in the fact that if you've not been through it, or at the least have an understanding or some kind of training on how to help somebody through a healing process, you shouldn't be getting that funding that other people such as yourself or Paula with respect to your nonprofits should be getting, because you are the ones, individuals such as yourself are the ones that are qualified for that. And that's where the resources of any kind, not just from a monetary standpoint, yes, that, don't get me wrong, that's a part of it in order to make things work like that, but just the overall support that is needed to make these things functionally and foundationally not just work but grow from that as well. Because Dooney, I mean, I think you could agree, and Paula as well, in some cases where you can break that person down, through their armor that they have on themselves to begin the healing process. You got to get to the foundation, right? Some of these individuals are people that they've never even been hugged before. And I don't mean
Mm,
just like, what up, homie? What's good, sis? Yada, yada. I mean like a hug, like a human felt connection hug that is filled with some love behind it, no matter who you are to them, no, just from one human to the next. And I think that's something that we lack as well, because my feeling is that all the fakeness that we are experiencing with the advent of social media today, that is very much poured into real human life these days
I hug
as
everybody,
well.
bro.
Paula,
Everybody getting a hug, bro. Everybody that I encounter, bro, I'm hugging
mm,
you, bro,
yeah.
because you may have never gotten that hug, bro,
Mm,
from your brother, or from a father, or from a male that's really genuine, that's really love. I want you to feel me. I want you to feel the reverberation of my love through my hug, bro. It's important, bro. Those kids is not loving themselves, or our people, we're not loving each other, bro. We're not loving ourselves. And that is a sign to let you know you love, bro. You love, and we need to know that. We need to share that with each other more often, bro. Because our community is in peril because of trauma, bro. The lack of love, the lack of care. And that hug say you care. You say, I love you, bro. We need it more, bro.
Completely agreed. Paula, to the point of what we're talking about right now, giving that real love to people, giving that true like hug in the sense, and again, not to discount, what Dooney is saying from a patriarch standpoint, but there's no love like that of a matriarch. So, from a matriarch's perspective, how impactful do you feel being able to make that connection with somebody specific that has dealt with trauma, when you're trying to connect with them in a way that they've not been connected with in the past? How important do you feel that is for those individuals? And let's just even stick specific to your community, because your community is very similar to a lot of other communities out here. And love is love, trauma is trauma, healing is healing, no matter where you are, where you come from, or who you are. How important do you feel that making that type of connection with somebody who needs that type of healing is, and for a community overall?
it is 1,000% important. I know I'm a hugger, so I really hug. I don't not the little. I hug people, embrace them, because I do know that these kids do need love. A lot of these little boys don't know how to deal with their feelings, or ain't nobody gonna say they need a hug, you know what I mean? So I see it in people's faces. I can feel your energy. I genuinely hug, people out here. Like you said, to let you know I love you. You know what I mean? Somebody does care about you. If ain't
Yes.
nobody else love you, I for sure love you. I may not known you for hella long, but I love my people. You know what? I really love my people. And it is extremely, extremely important. That's a huge issue, especially like a man, for a Dooney, a man hugging these young boys. But they need that. And that's what a lot of times, like, I be pushing and asking, like, men that I be dealing with, especially well on this level, like, really show the kids that love. They need that. You know what I mean? From a man's point of view. Because I know I'm a woman. I do it all day. I'll hug people, make you feel loved. I'll cook you dinner, the whole sort. Taking care of the kids. And that's my main thing. We have to show these kids that we love them, no matter how bad they are. My thing, what I deal with the worst of worst kids. So, and that's what I love is the bad kids, and they need love. That's a lot of times all they need. They'll listen to you, do what you need them to do, get themselves straight and some more stuff. It's what they lack in is love. And people don't realize there's a lot of kids that are foster kids, don't have parents. And when you're really dealing with these community parents, that they're maybe one of their parents died, the other one's not present, maybe strung out on drugs, reality, you know what I mean, don't have the time, us dealing with mental illness. So these kids do need that love. Yeah, that, I'm a lover. I love my community. I love my people. You know, it's a huge thing that we have to for sure do with these kids to change the narrative of things is show them a little more love. So we ain't got to be hard like that. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to the points that you both made as well, it's gonna take time. Talking about planting seeds, you don't plant a seed for some fruit
Yeah.
today and it's gonna grow
Yeah.
tomorrow. But if you truly care about that fruit being bared, it's the same thing when we talk about giving the love to the young kings and queens out here that need it or haven't experienced it in a way that they need to experience in order to. I always like to say, we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in those scenarios with respect to the understanding that we know what we are trying to offer to this young individual or group of individuals that we are out here to work out for. But we have to understand that it's going to take some time, and you got to have the strength that goes behind that. You have, most importantly, you have to have the patience
Yes.
for that as well, because it's not going to happen overnight. Now there might be those one-off situations where you might be able to connect with one of those individuals very quickly, but it's still not going to happen overnight because those people, those individuals, the young kings and queens have gone through and experienced so much trauma that again, they're putting their armor up, they're putting their walls up. That's their source of protection to react in a certain way. And until they feel comfortable enough with you
Safe space.
to kind of put that guard down. Yeah, go ahead, speak on it, Dooney.
Until they have a safe space.
Yes.
A safe space, bro. A nurturing space, bro. They won't open up, bro. They know what hard
Yeah.
looks like, bro. They know what non-love looks like, bro. That's why it's easy for them to recognize love in the real, bro. It's easy for them to recognize me and Paula when we pull up, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like they recognize the guys that pull up that they don't fuck with, then they know their energy is off, bro. How can you run a nonprofit and you got kids calling you bitch ass motherfucker? When
Yeah.
they see this
Yeah.
man pull up from the nonprofit, they like that bitch ass motherfucker.
Yeah.
Now, how are you
Yeah.
getting funding from children? And this is how children refer
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
Help me
Yeah.
understand that, bro.
Mhm.
Help me understand that, bro.
It's a wild world we're out here living in. But again, we have certain choices that we can give up or we can keep on pushing like Paula is pushing, like you are pushing, Dooney.
Mhm.
Um, because it's you have to. We do have that choice. And even though we might, in some cases we might feel that the cards are stacked against us and everything's working against us, no different than you were talking about earlier, Dooney. The blessings are going to be coming to your organization. The blessings are going to be coming continuously to Paula's organization. Things are happening at work that we might not even be aware of, that you might not even be aware of with respect to your communities right now. And things are but it's like hitting pay dirt, right? We hear that parable about somebody digging for gold for like 12, 13, 14 years, and then finally after 12, 13, 14 years they walk away, somebody else comes in behind them, and within 2 days they hit that massive pay dirt. Listen, man, if you're not going to be the one that continues to fight for what you truly believe in, and I'm talking about the pure individuals, the one percenters, such as the two of you on this conversation with us outside here today. You have that belief, you have that faith, because you also understand and seem comfortable with the fact, even if you're not the ones that are going to hit that quote unquote pay dirt, you understand that somebody that is in your world right now, that is watching you right now, somebody's going to be hitting that pay dirt that is an extension of you and is going to be continuing on with that message. And that's what I mean. And that's what we collectively mean as far as what we're talking about when we talk about people doing the right things with the purest of intentions, with no need or want for a picture that's going to get shared on a social media platform, not for the fact that they're looking for some individual pay out of showing up to a conversation or a community event. Again, people, what we're talking about here is saving lives within the community. We're talking about being against gun violence. We're talking about addressing the mental health awareness, which is the underlying issue that goes on with this, because this conversation is always about putting the guns down. It is a world epidemic. It's a movie, a film, a movement, which is streaming right now on Google TV, Apple TV, and Prime Video, brought to us by Terry C. Carney Sr. Um, and that's another individual who's doing it with the purest of intent for the right reasons, because these are messages that need to continuously go out there. And I want to make sure before we do finish the conversation here in just a short little bit, I want to make sure that I salute the both of you, and very much you, Paula. I mean, bringing it back to the beginning of the conversation of why we're here to begin with, your 3-year-old daughter, Azalea, was taken from us, taken from you as the mother 7 years and 2 days ago when she was 3 years old, a month away from her 4-year birthday. And here you are continuing to share that memory and push that mission so other individuals such as yourself do not have to experience that in the future. And I commend you for that, because to me, for what it's worth, there's not a stronger person out there that can carry that pure intent and move with the direction and intent that you do every single day. So I sincerely and genuinely applaud you, because there are individuals who have gone through your scenario or who are going to go through your scenario today. Sadly,
Yeah,
somebody's going to experience that today,
absolutely.
and they're not going to have the same resolve and intent that you do. So I want to make sure on behalf of myself and Dooney and all of our followers watching with us today, you are Queen's Queen, because not many people are out here doing and handling it and moving the way you are. So thank you for being the human being that you are, because I take strength from that, and I thank you personally
Thank you.
as well, because
She also has to know.
somebody. No, go ahead,
I
Dooney.
want you to know also, Paula. It was us while we was inside the monasteries. It was sisters that came in, right, that shared their stories like you about the loss of their loved one that changed us young men inside that monastery, because we didn't get to see the after effect. We shoot, we don't see the pain that's caused in the community and the family, the hurt of the mother. We don't never see that. So it's easy for us to shoot and just walk away. But when you bring that pain to our present, it's felt. Please know that. As many of us change because of No More Tears and programs that allow mothers or people that lost their families or violence to come inside them stoop to share that pain with us, to help us grow and to help us change our ways and not want to hurt, and help us become healers in the community instead of those that hurt in our community. So please know that your work and what you do is changing lives.
All right, we lost her. We'll get her on back. As we start to wind down
Mine
the
kept
show.
going
But
out as well,
oh,
but
here we go. There we go. Hold on one second, Dooney. There we
No,
go.
somebody called in my phone and it went mute.
Ah, all good,
yeah.
all good, all good.
Yeah, just
Um,
know that what you do is really changing lives. There's no more impact on a child than seeing a mother who lost their mother, because their children have a heart. They just need to reconnect. Even if they don't have that connection with their parent, their mother, they have that motherly, that love that's in them, and they can, and it's innate in us boys. And when we see it in another mother, it changes us, even if it's not our own. So the change comes from y'all. We just got to get behind you,
Yes,
sisters,
yes,
and when y'all speak, support that, because they may be hard to a man, but it's hard to be hard to a woman,
yeah.
right? So stay on your journey, Queen, and know you changing lives. I got thousands of men I can have come before you to tell you that your story just like every other sister changed our lives and make us do what we're doing in the community right now today.
Extremely true. Extremely true. We're going to spend the last couple minutes that we have here, Paula, to make sure that anything additional that you want to talk about today, anything that needs to be addressed before we go today, we're going to make sure that we do that. And before we open that up to you, I just want to remind everybody we appreciate you tapping in. This is Put the Guns Down. We outside. We're here talking about how we can make a greater impact of curbing gun violence and addressing mental health awareness that does come with that, which is the underlying issue of gun violence, violence in general, and a whole lot of other issues going on in this crazy world, especially in this year that we're living in. And these conversations, if you're popping in, because we're live right now, if you're popping in late to the conversation, it's all good. We appreciate you being here for it. And if you want to go and watch from the top of the conversation, go link up with us at our YouTube channel, tell the others, subscribe, share it out. We have these conversations every single Saturday, and there's about 8 conversations that are already loaded up on the YouTube channel. So we invite you to go check that out, because we're truly here with the intent to take the 685 lives that are taken from us in this world due to gun violence every single day. And the goal right now is to get it down to 684. Once we do that, then we can talk about getting it down to 683 and so on and so forth. So YouTube channel is the place where you can see all of these conversations. If you're just tapping in with us for the first time or just recently, everything's right there. So with that said, Paula, I definitely want to make sure, as I said, we spend the last few minutes talking about anything additional that you either want to circle back around from that we've already talked about, or anything that we did not talk about today that is important to you, your mission, your message, and specifically your nonprofit, which is of course derived, from losing and having your 3-year-old daughter taken from you some years ago.
What I really want to really just like, any off is support. Support from the community is huge, because without that support, people aren't going to see what we're doing. They're not going to be supportive, but just support. And if it's not coming out to something that I'm doing, it's coming out and supporting one of the other moms, or, getting in the loop of us impacted families as far as with from gun violence and stuff like that, or even community violence though. But us parents that have lost our children, there's quite a few of us that do things, nonprofit or not, but that do things that it would be important for the support for people of the community to really show up, for these other organizations or people that are influential in the community, and to show up, show up and support. The more they show up and support, it's going to make our jobs go. And it's not a job, it's just changing a lifestyle of how we live and how these kids see things. But, show up, come out, show up. We need support. We really do need support, you know, to change these communities. And that's my big thing, is changing the narrative. Changing the narrative for these young kids. And it's not just boys, because it's girls that are out there wilding out too. Change the narrative, show them something different in life. And like how Dooney was saying, when I invite people to my events, I invite people from all sides. I don't care if you were blood. I don't care if you were Crip. I don't care about any of that. I don't care if you from this side, from that side, because I'm not originally from Sacramento. I just raised my kids out here. So but bringing the older people together, as far as us showing the kids. Kids lead by example. If we show them we can't get along, or we still gang banging, you really think that they're going to change? So it's when we have these events, really, if one of us are calling you, even if we don't call out to you or invite you personally, show up to these events, especially if you're the men that are out here, in the communities, and they know who I'm talking about. Show up. Let's change things. I'm tired of hearing kids getting hit. I'm tired of seeing these young men being killed daily. It's daily out here in Sacramento. It be things that aren't even posted on the news.
Mm-hmm.
Daily. I lived in these communities. I've seen day after day after day people getting killed in my community, and nothing was on TV. It's like, we're gonna keep this quiet So my thing is, show support. Let's really do something to change things. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being fearful, fearful for my kids or the other young kids that I've helped raised in these streets. That I may be getting a call, somebody just got shot, sudden, tired of hearing that. Don't want to do it no more. And I know a lot of other people don't. And I get tired of welcoming moms in, to the circle of women that I know. I get calls from people. I'm very welcoming to calls to help. I help other mothers deal with grief and go through it, especially at the beginning, because I know when I was going through it, I don't have family like that. My family didn't show up. My family is the community, is the people that I know. I didn't have no family show up, so I know what it's like to deal with the roughest of rough times completely by yourself. So I'll show up and help these moms go through the grief. You know what I mean? Show them what I did. Tell them what I did. Put a something positive. Give them something positive. Let them know this. I'll walk through this with you. It's a walk that we do need somebody with us. It's not a walk we should be doing on our own. So I know what we need, so I do show up for the other moms too. But support us in whatever we do.
No, fully felt right there, and I appreciate that because you're right in what you said there. That blood may make you related, but loyalty makes
All
you
day.
family. That's what it comes down to, and that's where the real support sometimes comes from when it comes down to it. So, like I said earlier in this conversation, Queen, whatever we can do, I know you got Dooney right there in your backyard, and I know y'all have already been connected. But whatever I can do as an individual human being, because this is the changes now. Um, and I just get in where I fit in. I want to do my part to save a life or lives if I can. So if I could ever help in any way, shape, or form, you and I are connected on the phone. You can reach out to me in any way, shape, or form. You are welcome back on to our platform anytime that you like. You literally just say the word, because we are here to continuously share that message. This is not just something that we come out and do every week just because. It's because we have the pure intent behind it, because somebody's got to say it. And I'm happy to get out every week with my brother Dooney here and talk about this week in, week out with different people from different walks of life, with different insights, different stories, and different experiences to show and share. Because that's how change happens, by doing something consistently over and over again. That's how movements happen, people. That's how they've happened in the past. That's how they're going to happen in the future. And that's how this Put the Guns Down, addressing gun violence and mental health awareness, is going to happen going forward. So we do appreciate your time. Dooney, we want to make sure I want to give you any final thoughts, because we got to get you back to your honeymoon as well. But any final thoughts that you want to share before we sign off here today?
Um, I'm calling out, as always. I'm calling out to my brothers to show up, bro, from everywhere, bro. Uh, and I say, if you don't, care about nobody else, bro, care about your mother, your grandmother, bro. They're in the community as well, bro. They're being affected, bro. Uh, these kids, bro, is all we got, bro. And if we don't help them, bro, we're gonna be damned uh, to a real fucked up future as elders right now. I am an elder, bro, and I don't want to see this go any worse, because it's gonna be worse for me as well. And that's what we gotta understand, right? We gotta change things for the children now. So not only us, but those children that's coming behind the next generations, bro, won't have to suffer what we suffer, bro. And then all we got to do is just step up and show love, bro. Start being present, bro. Like, what do you stand for? What do you believe in, bro? We need to start questioning our morals, our values, and our principles, and what our purpose is as men and as women. And I challenge that, bro. Be a part of something. I mean, you don't have to be a part of my organization or even part of Paula, right? But be a part of the work, because we're gonna meet in the middle. That work, if everybody's doing something, that change is gonna affect everyone. We're a spider web.
Mm-hmm.
Our communities are a spider web. Not one web on that spider web can move without the whole thing being affected, bro. And we need to understand that. And I thank you again, Paula, for being you, for standing up and walking that walk in the strength that you walk it. Even in your frailty, even in your hurt, you stood through that and you made it through it. It wasn't just your child, it was other life experiences that you were going through at that time that would have derailed the strongest of people. And you kept pushing. So everything you got coming to you, Queen, God gonna bring it. God gonna bring it. Just stay moving the way you moving, and just know we gonna meet in the center. We're gonna meet in the middle. All of the good is gonna come together, and we all gonna meet in the middle, Queen. Just keep your faith.
Thank you, though. Thank you for being completely supportive behind me 100%. You know, there's been a lot of times that I've been, but I'll say like this: you already know people were scared to come around me in the situation, and you were
Mm-hmm.
absolutely never, not once scared, not afraid to pull up, none of that. So I appreciate that, and that's what I needed to help me move forward. So thanks for real, for real, for real having my back. And you know what I
For
mean,
sure,
for real
Queen.
having my back.
You deserve that. You're worthy. All of our queens are worthy. Us men just need to step up and know that it's our position to stand behind our sisters, bro. What would you want for your mother? What would you want for your sister? What do you want for your daughter? What would you want for your grandmother, your auntie, your cousin, right? We got to start working from a different kit, bro. And it's not self.
Yes.
We need to become selfless. We need to become more selfless. And everything I give to you is a reflection of what you do in the community and what you deserve, Queen.
Man, so true. Dooney, I appreciate those words for you to close us out today. Paula, again, on behalf of myself and Dooney, everybody that tapped in today, thank you for coming out, sharing your story, sharing your insights, your thoughts, and having this open conversation with us. And for everybody else, again, we appreciate you tapping in. There she is. There she is.
You see that picture?
This
Yes,
is
that's why we do it.
this is
That's why we
exactly
do
why
it
we
right
do it.
there. If you
We
can't do
have
it for nobody else, look in that baby eyes and do it for the babies, man.
Somebody has to, and we are happy to take up that mantle. And that's why we come out every single week and have these conversations because they're necessary. You know what? Because they're filled with pure intent. We don't get anything other than the conversation and the insights of how we can make change from this. This show is not sponsored. Nobody gets paid for this shit. We're doing it because we're human beings. We're choosing these having conversations like this that other people don't choose to have. And we're going to do it every Saturday without fail. So, as a reminder, people, please, if you tapped in to the middle part of this conversation, basically as soon as we're done, because we're live right now, it is going to live on our YouTube channel permanently. Please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see this whole conversation as well as all the other conversations that already happened, plus all the ones that are going to be happening. Oh, and we're about to turn up the volume on this because this conversation is not just going to be happening one time a week. We're going to be upping the amount of conversations that we're going to have going forward weekly. So things are about to get even realer outside with us and put the guns down, which again, as a reminder, put the guns down, a world epidemic brought to us by Terry C. Carney Sr. and many others involved with this project. It is streaming right now on Google TV, Apple TV, and Prime Video. Make it a watch party and make it a watch party with the entire family, the entire community, because this is a documentary that people need to see and people need to see over and over again because this is real life that we're talking about. It's not a movie, people. It's not the fake shit that we see out here every day. This is real life that we're talking about, human lives that we're talking about. There ain't no coming back from death, people. So, with that said, thank you for tapping in. Thank you for tuning in. We do have a special guest on the We Outside Live tomorrow. Sweets is joining us live and in person from my household here in Kansas City. Paula, we thank you. We are here from you. Please, anything that you need, you reach out.
All right. Thank
Please let the people, please let the people know how they can support you and where they can
Yes.
contact you at. and leave your information so people can reach out and support you. That see this, that see it, know you need the support.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Paula Anderson on Facebook, I think it is, and on Instagram it is Paula Anderson underscore 408. And shoot, you can contact me like that.
Yep, and I have
Tap
that
in with me
information from when you
there, or
send it.
send me a message, or tap in if you want to get at me. Dooney, could get a hold of me if you know Dooney or whatever. But I want to help people. I want to meet other moms that have went through my trauma. I want to be able to help people. So
Man, that's what it's
tap
about. And I
in.
got your contact information. We're locked in.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure that we continuously, from our We Outside platform, we're going to continue to share your message. So, because I know you have the organization, if there's any organizational information for your nonprofit that you might be able to send me, or at least point me in the right direction of where I might be able to find it, I'll make sure that stuff is getting out there as well. But for now, I'll make sure that your personal profiles are getting shared out that way, and the reasoning behind it. That way, anybody wants to help and support, they know where to tap in with you directly as
And
well.
then a lot of times I don't have all my stuff up and going because I'm really outside. I don't have time for this.
You're
I be
planting them
outside, really.
seeds.
I really be outside. So, doing things. So my getting like my nonprofit, like the page for that and all that. That to me, that's like I'm like I'd have to do the work first. You know what I mean? And then when I got the extra time, I'll sit here. I don't have nobody to do it for me, so I do everything myself. So I'd rather be out here on my feet in the neighborhoods than working a keyboard.
Making that real impact. I can
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
that.
And that's why I'm going to have Love in the Hood days. I started 9/11. I do every day until the 17th. She was pronounced brain dead on the 15th, September 15th, which is Monday. I'm going to have a candlelight for her out there on Della Circle, the house where she was shot in front of there. There's a light pole that I always decorate. So we be outside, loving the hood. There's still kids out there playing around, that play outside. So we go over there, take the space up for a minute, release balloons, light candles, share memories of her, and interact with the community. So I'll be outside.
Blessings, Queen. We appreciate you. We appreciate everything that you're out here doing for the community and the world as a whole, because it's necessary and somebody's got to do it. And we stand here with you in any way that we can. And once I get my opportunity to pull up to SAC at some point, I'll definitely have the opportunity to meet you in person as well.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Too.
Dooney, go enjoy the last
Enjoy
day of your
yourself,
honeymoon.
Dooney.
And I'll catch up with you later, bro.
And
All right.
for sure, you have a blessed
Y'all
day.
be good.
You too.
All right. Peace.
Much love.